Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this ADI Part 3 training video, we're going to be looking at a real lesson from a PDI, and we're just going to look at the first 5 minutes, and I want you to think about lesson planning. Is this the right lesson for the pupil? So I'm going to allow you to watch little sections of it, and I will jump in and give some in-depth analysis. So yeah, I hope you like it. Please like, subscribe, and of course, as always, I will see you in the next video.
Okay, right, so, well, it started raining quite heavy. Okay, so we are doing independent driving.
Okay, so let's pause it there. So let's just look at the goals and needs of the lesson. The instructor has just said, so we're doing independent driving. So it's really important that you have a conversation with the pupil to establish how they're feeling, what their needs and wants are for the lesson. After all, it is their lesson, and we need to be looking at a client-centered lesson rather than an instructor-led lesson. Okay, and the other thing we need to establish, what is an independent drive? What does that mean to the learner? How will they know what is expected of them from this independent drive? Now, in terms of a driving test, an independent drive is either following the sat-nav for a period of time or following road signs to a certain place. Or does it mean, or does the instructor mean, that they want them to drive independently on their own without any help, and if something comes up, that it will be addressed? So does the pupil at this point know what an independent drive is and what is expected from them on that drive? Okay, so let's continue watching the video.
Alright, so what I'm gonna do, I'll give you directions.
Okay. I haven't been in a lesson where it's raining in months.
It's an excellent learning opportunity for you.
Okay, so the instructors just said that they will be giving directions to the pupil. So that clears up the previous point that they're not going to be following a sat-nav or signs to a certain location. So that was great that the instructor said that, but could be a little bit more clearer with the pupil. So just think what the examiner says during a driving test. So I'm going to give you directions. I would like you to follow the road ahead at all times unless signs or road markings indicate otherwise. And if I need you to turn, I will let you know in plenty of time. And that's a really good way to encourage your pupil to be able to follow signs and road markings to gain that bit of independence. Because if they're unable to follow road markings or signs, then they've accepted the responsibility for that. And if they struggle, then you've got the perfect way in to help them and guide them and establish a new learning need for the lesson. We should also pick up that the pupil has just said that they haven't driven in the rain for about a month, I think they said. So let's see where the instructor goes with this one.
What's the risk?
Slip. Poor visibility.
Exactly. What else? How would be your following distance when you follow?
A little further away.
A little further away. How many seconds or how many cars do you think you should be?
4.
Is the 4 not a normal distance?
Oh no, that's true. Maybe 6.
8 cars.
8. Double? Really? Okay.
4 seconds.
Okay.
So 2 seconds on normal day. 8 seconds when it's raining or the roads are slippery. Yeah, when the roads are wet, and it's 10 times.
When it's
20 cars when it's freezing.
Yeah.
Or icy conditions. Okay?
Sure.
Happy with that?
Happy.
Good. Okay, so...
Okay, so let's delve into the conversation about the bad weather conditions. So the instructor picked up on this and asked a good question, asked the pupil, what is the risk? And the pupil gave a good answer, and they said poor visibility. Now, the conversation then moved on to following distances. So let's just think about the answer that the pupil gave. They said poor visibility. So the instructor needs to listen and respond to this. So yes, poor visibility. So this is what I would be saying. I'd say, so okay, as the driver, what is your responsibility when it's raining? And hopefully they'd say something along the lines about being able to see out the car and being able to be seen by other road users, i.e. put the lights on. So it could have been a conversation about a refresh, because he did say hadn't, it's been a month since he's driven in the rain. So hopefully it's just a recap to re-familiarise the pupil with where the window wipers are, where the front and rear demisters are, where the light switch is, how the air conditioning works, and just make sure that he's familiar with where everything is. Once you've done that recap, then again you could give or agree responsibility for risk and ask the people, would they be happy to be responsible on the move for making sure that at all times we can see and be seen whilst driving. And that would really tie into what he's going to be tested on when he does his driving tests, when the examiner will say when it is safe to do so, please, demist your rear windscreen or whatever they're going to ask them. So a missed opportunity there to pick up on what the pupil actually said. But the conversation was directed away from the visibility by the instructor to talk about following distance. So the instructor said, what about following distance? How many seconds? And as soon as he said how many seconds, he followed up with another question: how many cars? So it was how many seconds, how many car lengths? And the pupil said 4, which is correct. A minimum of 4 seconds following distance in rainy conditions. But the instructor's response was to look confused and to undermine the pupil, which implied an incorrect answer. So the pupil was thinking, well, I'm not sure what the answer is, and was made to feel a little bit stupid. So the instructor went on to say 8 car lengths, 4 seconds. Well, where's the 8 car lengths coming from? We look at following distance in terms of time, because it depends on the speed you're travelling at. So it will vary from speed to speed. So I'm not sure where the 8 seconds come from. But the pupil was looking confused with that. The instructor then went on to say that it's 8 seconds when raining and 10 times in icy conditions. So 10 times the normal, so 20 seconds. But that needed to be much clearer. And there was a real emphasis that the instructor is telling the pupil these answers. I would want to be asking the pupil, have you passed your theory test? And I would ask the questions and wait for the answer. And if he's struggling, I would prompt him and guide him to sort of open him up and encourage him to think a little bit deeper if he wasn't so sure. Because if he comes up with the answer himself, he's going to remember that. Okay, if he gets a wrong answer, then I would analyse it and sort of say, well, okay, what might be the problem if he said 2 car lengths in the wet? What would be the risk of following 2 car lengths, say at 70 miles an hour? And hopefully he'd think, oh yeah, do you know what, that is far too close. Oh yeah, sorry, it's 2 seconds, but hang on a minute, what about when it's raining? Oh yeah, sorry, it's double it. So we could have encouraged the pupil to do some critical thinking and dig out what he probably already knew. He probably knew that. So again, I just felt this section was very confusing and instructor led, and we needed to get that pupil to think about the visibility and how he could be responsible for taking care of seeing and being seen by other road users. So that section ended with the instructor saying, happy with that? And the pupil just said, happy, and it moved on. I'm not sure the pupil was happy with that, and could he really remember what was told to him? So we need to be asking the pupil much more questions and making sure the pupil takes away clear and correct information. Let's play the video.
Okay, I'll give you directions. Okay, I'll maybe asking you questions about anticipation, planning and awareness. Okay, and if anything unexpected happens, I will jump in and I'll start helping you out.
Sure.
Okay, do you need to talk through if anything unexpected happened?
No.
Talk through, like I tell you what to do.
Oh, you mean after if something happens?
When something,
When something happens. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Start the engine.
Okay, so let's just analyse that little conversation. So the PDI, the instructor, was just basically giving a little recap on about what's going to happen next. So the instructor said, I'll give you directions, of which the pupil agreed. Great, good. The next question from the instructor came, I may ask you questions. It wasn't kind of really a question. It wasn't like, can I ask you questions? It says, I may ask you questions on anticipation, planning and awareness. Now let's just hold on there a minute. At what point was that goal, that learning need, agreed with the learner? When did they agree that they would be looking at awareness, anticipation and planning for this lesson? I was under the understanding from the earlier conversation that this lesson was going to be an independent drive. So now I'm a little bit confused, and I'm sure the pupil's a little bit confused because this has just been forced onto the pupil. So the instructor then went on to say, if anything unexpected happens, I will jump in and help you out. Okay. Do you need a talk through if anything unexpected happens? Well, I think we just need to clarify what, be a bit more specific. So for example, if an emergency vehicle comes, are you happy dealing with that? Would you need any help from me? Would be a better way to sort of pitch that question. So basically the instructor said, so if anything unexpected happens, do I need to give you a full talk through? And the pupil said no. Okay. The PDI wasn't happy with the answer to this question, so pushed it and basically repeated the question, and so that the pupil said yes. So really the pupil was coerced into changing their mind because the instructor wasn't very happy with the initial response. So it appeared to me that the instructor wants to give a talk through on anticipation, awareness and planning, even though the pupils not really agreed to this goal and initially said that they wouldn't need any help. So we need to think about, is this the correct level of instruction? Is this a client-centered lesson, or is this an instructor-led lesson? Is this the lesson that the instructor wanted to deliver? And then this piece finished with the instructor saying, start the engine. Now, I looked at that a couple of times, and I don't know if it's just me, but the body language, the tone of the voice, the non-verbal communication gave me the impression that the PDI was maybe a little bit frustrated or annoyed, fed up, I don't know, but it didn't create a good atmosphere in the car, and there seemed to be a little bit of tension there. Or is that just me?
Do you have any questions?
Not really.
Okay, if you have any questions.
One question, what speed should I put this on?
Just normal.
Like that?
Then, if it starts raining really fast, then one step more up.
Okay. For the rear, so...
That's automatic now, that's just on a key.
So should I put it down?
No, you can just keep it on automatic.
Like this?
No, it's off.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so in this section, the pupil's about to get the car moving, and the instructor asked a good question. Have you got any questions before we get going? Brilliant. Great. And the pupil did. The pupil had a question, and they had a question about the wipers and what speed that they should set them at. And the answer was sort of just given to the pupil. I thought it was a little bit flippant, if I'm completely honest. And I thought there was a bit more of an opportunity for learning to take place. So the way I would have dealt with that is to sort of say, okay, so you're not sure about the speed of the wipers. What's the most important thing? with your wipers. Why do we have the wipers on? And hopefully the pupil would say something along the lines of, well, so I can see. Yeah, and what would be the problem if your wipers are on too fast? What would be the possible implications of that? And, you know, they'd probably say that, well, they will squeak or wear out the wipers. So, yeah, so we need to help the people understand there's a balance. And then I would say to the people, do you know how to adjust the speed? And could you do that while we were moving? So could I leave you to be responsible for adjusting the speed accordingly to make sure you can see, and to make sure that we don't have that squeaky, annoying noise and wear out the wipers? And that's the perfect opportunity just to give that pupil a bit more responsibility. And I just felt that that question could have been answered a little bit better.
Rolling back on a hill.
Why do you think it's rolling back?
Because I didn't give enough gas.
Think about that car is behind you.
Yeah, I would have hit them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is there a risk there?
Yeah.
What's the solution of that?
I stop when I give enough gas.
Okay. Secure the car here. Cancel the signal. Just checking your understanding. Which control moves the car?
The clutch.
The clutch. So why you are applying too much gas?
Because I'm rolling back, so I need a bit of gas to go forwards.
So why are we rolling back?
Because I'm not coming to the biting point fast enough.
Here we go.
Okay.
Exactly. That means we are applying gas, but the gas is not going to move the car.
Yes, without the biting.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
There is another way of finding the biting point. It's not necessarily you're going to have to keep the handbrake up. Okay, we just need the handbrake once we are parked.
Yeah.
Okay, you can keep your foot on the brake and you can find the biting point like this.
Really? What's on the brake?
Yeah, look.
Okay.
If I take my foot off the brake, the car will start rolling forward.
Yeah, I see.
You can also find the biting point like that. There is no problem.
Alright.
But if we are stopped and parked, then we need a handbrake.
Okay.
Okay.
Got you.
If that makes your life easier, then that. But once you're off the brake, your foot should go on the gas straight away.
Yes.
Okay, at the end of the road, we are turning left.
Okay, so some good stuff going on here. The instructor has identified a need and wants to adapt the lesson. He's consciously talking about risk with the pupil and checking the pupil's understanding, which is all good stuff. I just think with time the instructor will become more natural with this and make it more of a natural conversation. Okay, so the pupil needed to reverse to get out of the space. Maybe an opportunity to be proactive there and talk about an angle start and how he's going to do that. Did the pupil need to reverse? Would it be a good opportunity there to teach him how to do a little angle start? Just my thoughts, but it's not the end of the world that he reversed, don't get me wrong. So let's look at the reverse. The pupil had good observations, and yeah, definitely worth giving him some praise for his observations before reversing. He did look out the back, but just make sure, instructor, that you look out the back as well once your pupil has, just to make sure that's safe. So probably not the best time to take a swig of coffee at that point. You want to be on your observational checks there. So okay, so the pupil moves back, and the pupil self-identified a little rollback, and brilliant. That was picked up on by the instructor. There was a good structure to fault, fixing the fault using the fish method. So the fault was identified, there were some implications there and a solution, and the root cause was found. So this was good. So the root cause was not finding the bite, that's what caused the rollback. But just avoids kind of laughing at your pupil when you didn't have that understanding. The pupil sort of felt a bit awkward, a little bit undermined, and really you want to be encouraging an atmosphere for learning to take place, so that's really important in terms of your teaching and learning strategies. Create an atmosphere that will encourage learning to take place. So I would just also question the advice with the moving off. So you kind of give him an alternate method with holding the brake and then releasing the clutch. Again, I would encourage the tried and trusted methods of POM. So when it comes to that solution, get your pupils. So well, how do we do it? What routine are we using? So you prepare. So what does that involve? What are your feet going to be doing? Where are you going to observe? And the move, when will the handbrake come up, down? When will your clutch come up? Do you need to set the gas, for example? So I would stick to the POM method there. And I do accept there might be situations where you need to roll off the brake whilst holding the bike, but maybe just clarify when you would do that. But yeah, really, I thought a missed opportunity to get the angle start in there. I thought, yeah, that's what I thought. And yeah, good instructor checks when the pupil moved off. And now let's see the next little bit.
And at the end of the road, we are turning right. So what are you anticipating now, just before turning?
Cars like coming fast in front.
Good, well done, good answer. On this road, people, they go really fast.
Yeah, they go fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the PDI asks a very good question using some proactive Q&A about anticipation. The PDI said, what are you anticipating here as they approach the junction? Now, I understand why the PDI has said that, because on his previous attempts, he's been marked down by the examiner for not using proactive Q&A following a mistake to try and prevent problems. So let's just think about the lesson planning. Was it agreed that with the pupil that we would be working on awareness and anticipation, and what level of help would we need? Did the pupil ask for prompting, or was that offered? Or has the instructor sort of just jumped in there a little bit too early and trying to prevent something that's not actually happened yet? So my advice would be to agree that with the pupil, let them drive, and if they're not aware or anticipating, then offer some help, talk about it and jump in, and then try and prevent future mistakes. But we really need to kind of let the pupil drive independently, which was agreed, and let's see how he does. And then if there's a problem, jump in. So as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Not yet, anyway.
And you know that because you live in this area.
Yeah. So I can see his headlights.
Yeah. But what are you planning to do?
Slowing down. Gonna stop here. But he's indicating to.
Good mirrors, well done. Why did you check center and right mirror?
Because it could have been someone overtaken.
Excellent, well done, very nice.
Okay, so we see the same thing again here. This time we've got a proactive question on a meeting situation. Again, has that been agreed with the pupil that they would need help with meeting situations, or could we just let them have a go and see how they get on? There was another good question about the use of mirrors. The instructor's clearly watching the pupil and gives him some praise for the use of mirrors, and checks his understanding as to why he would check those mirrors. But again, there's that question: has use of mirrors been identified as a learning need in this lesson, and has it been agreed that there would be some kind of prompting and focus on the mirrors? So again, I would just let that pupil drive independently, and if a mirrors was missed, and then identify that as a fault, and then talk about the risks, how you're going to fix it, etc. And then you can be proactive with Q&A. This reminds me of something that I learned from the late Louise Walsh about weight. Why am I talking? I think this is a classic example of this. It is okay to be quiet and let your pupil get on with things. So you could agree that at the start of the lesson and just say, look, I'm going to give you directions, let you drive independently. So if I'm quiet, that means I'm happy with what you're doing. So it's okay to say nothing. And again, let the pupil drive. Let's see where the problems are. And then we can start to be proactive with our Q&A. Okay, let's continue and see some more.
What if the screen starting gets misty, the front or back? Which control will you use?
I could not tell you the anti-mister, but I don't know where.
Do you know where it is? Okay, let's stop somewhere safe. Just turn left here.
Okay.
And let's find somewhere safe to stop.
Okay.
Okay, so a very good question from the instructor. What if the screen were to mist up? Notice it hadn't mist up. It was a what if it had. The pupil clearly didn't know. It was a good decision to pull up and go through that with the pupil. But let's just think to the start of the lesson and thinking about relevance. It is raining. The likelihood of misting up and using the wipers is quite high. So this is where being proactive would have been perfect for this lesson, and then there wouldn't be the need to pull up. So the instructor just needs to get that balance of proactive and reactive questions. So think about relevance. It is raining. Good. Let's be proactive about that. It's so likely to happen that we're going to need to do that. But the meeting situations, the anticipation, well, that hasn't been discussed as a problem. It hasn't been identified as a learning need. So unless that's brought into the lesson and agreed upon, then it would be a bit irrelevant to ask those questions, unless, of course, there's a problem, and then react and then get ahead of the pupil and be proactive. So I hope I'm making sense there. So basically, just to sum up on this lesson, I would now be worried in terms of planning, and I think this lesson as it continues could be a planning fail, because is it the right lesson for the pupil? Is it at the right level for the pupil's ability and needs? And there seems to be a bit of a mismatch in these first 5 minutes of the lesson. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of analysis. Thank you, Tam, for agreeing to share that video with me and allow me to pull it apart. But if you can take something away from this lesson and use it and let it help you, then that's great. And I can tell you that since that recording, a week later, Tam took his final attempt at the part 3 and he's passed it. So great result, and again, thank you, Tam. You've been outstanding. I've enjoyed working with you, and again, thank you for letting me pull this lesson apart. But if it can help someone else, then it's been a good job. So thank you.